What is up, Instagram Live? We're on day number 92 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Today's topic is taking 100% ownership versus not my problem, not my issue, you deal with it. So as you are tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, love to know 3 things you're grateful for out there in Facebook or Instagram world. Kelly Ann, nice to see you. Soul Searcher, what is up? Hussein, welcome. Stephanie, what's up? Welcome back. Let's see. Kevin, nice to see you. San Jose, California in the house. What is up? John, what's up, buddy? London, UK. I think it's late. It's late your time, but good evening or good morning. Diego from Brazil, what is up? From San Diego, grateful for weather, my bed, and pups. Very cool. Stephanie, what is up? Boylston, Massachusetts. Christian, nice to see you. Australia in the house. Good morning, Australia. Espanol para Argentina. Sí, welcome. What's up, friends from Maine? Nice to see you. Heidi, welcome back. Iowa in the house. Marla, hello. All right. So, people rockin'. Let's dive in. We're on day number 92 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. And on day number 92, we are talking about, Christopher, nice to see you. We're talking about this concept of when you choose to get into a relationship. I remember when I was dating, I had a really simple policy, and I'm curious how many of you might have this policy. And my policy was, I grew up in an environment where I was taught you can control your emotional state. So depending on what you focus on and what meaning you give it determines how you feel. Therefore, if someone was upset, frustrated, angry, hurt, I'd be like, yo, what are you focused on? Change your state. And I had a 0 tolerance policy for drama. So the moment drama would come up, I'd be like, dunzo, no interest whatsoever. And what was interesting is in the concept of dating, it worked to have about relationships that would last around 3 months. Most relationships lasted roughly 3 months because, I don't know, maybe within a 3-month period of time is finally when something comes up that you don't necessarily agree on. And my policy was real clear. If and when that happened, I was pretty much not willing to take responsibility. I would take responsibility for my part. I would change my state. I would do something to make myself feel better or find that place of feeling really good. But I would not take responsibility for their state of how they're feeling of what's going on in theirs. Now, what I've realized recently, a lot of men do this, and some women do too. But I'd love to know, first, let's start off in the comments. How many of you have ever made this policy in your life? Basically, more or less, it's a no drama policy. And the moment there's too much drama, or the moment there's any drama whatsoever, no thanks. And the philosophy might be something around the thought process of, I would rather them be with someone else than have to feel this way with me. You know, if I'm not able to care for them in a way where they can have, a good experience, I would much rather release them and let them go. And I know it'll hurt me, but I'd much rather let them go so that they can go find someone else that they would be much happier with. And I'm seeing some yeps, yes, yeah, not a fan of drama, fabulous. So I'm seeing all these same concepts. Well, I'll tell you, this concept will never, ever, 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 ever work in a long-term relationship. It won't. It won't work. And the reason this won't work in a long-term relationship is because when you choose to have a long-term relationship, what you're choosing to say is, I will have a partnership with you, and in our partnership, we're both choosing to own and be responsible for all the emotions that occur in the process. And what we don't realize is how many emotions are going to occur in the process. So I'll give you a for instance. Oftentimes when there's friction and someone's feelings are hurt, a lot of times what we'll do, and I can speak from the man side at least, a lot of times what will happen is we'll do probably one of the worst things we could do, which is assume and say how we think the other person must be feeling. You must be fine and over this already because you're so strong, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on and make space so that someone else who can really connect with you can come and find you. Oh my God, you want to see someone freak out? Try that one. Or, I just don't have the space to give you all the attention and love that you deserve, so I'm going to go ahead and move on because, you deserve to have someone who can really be there for you, and I clearly can't right now. Oh my God. You're about to hang yourself in this relationship and really, really hurt somebody and frustrate the hell out of them, to be honest. There's an underlying factor here, and if it's okay, it does come off condescending when you hear it and you're not in the relationship. Now, us guys tend to say stuff like this all the time, thinking we're doing the right thing and being a good guy, and in reality, it is condescending. Not only is it condescending, it massively pisses ladies off. And if it's okay, I have my own philosophy. I think humans, I really don't necessarily judge people based on gender, color, race, anything like that. When someone says this white guy or that black guy or this yellow guy or this woman or this man, I'm like, A, you're racist because that's how you're describing people. It's a human, first off. And my wife and I talk about this all the time because every now and then someone will be like, oh, you're not inclusive of people. I'm like, of humans? I look at all humans as if they're human, and I look at men and women as if they're human, so I understand there's a difference. At the same time, I don't judge people's performance or intelligence or their ability based on any of those things. And so if it's okay for this conversation, I'm gonna kind of de-elevate. I'm gonna come back down and look at like male and female, if that's okay. But normally when I look at humans, if I ever post something with a picture in it, it's a human doing something. I don't see it as a man or woman or a gender or background or anything like that. I just don't. When people reach out to me and they say their frustration with, that white men are doing something, I'm like, do you realize that the way you're processing this is exactly what you're saying you hate? Because you're judging them based on an element that's race. Like, let it go. Be like, that human is an idiot. And if you elevate to the concept of human, it really truly takes away the pieces that so many of us find friction in. But for this, we're going to de-elevate. We're going to come back down, and we're going to say for men and women, because I can see some very specific situations that I think this would be incredibly helpful for all of us to hear, if that's okay. So in this circumstance, if we look at men and women, what tends to really hurt women's feelings extremely, and I'm not going to say this for all women. I'm going to say for some women, and some women I'm friends with and I know and I've watched and observed this and see if this makes sense, is whenever a man is not willing to take responsibility for the emotions that he helped create in this relationship, oh my goodness, it frustrates the hell out of women. And I've noticed this multiple times in different cases and gone, oh boy, guys should know about that. And I'm sure, women do it to each other in some way, shape, or form that I'm unaware of, but right now, just that specific circumstance. And all you need to do in this moment, and what's wild, I remember the first time I heard about this concept, it was a lady saying, if you ever see a woman whose feelings are hurt feelings, and she says, feelings are what's existing between the skin and underneath them, the organs, in between the organs and the skin. For women, there's this thing right in the middle called feelings. And feelings exist within the entire body, from the tip of the toe to the top of the head and everywhere in between, there's a layer for women called feelings. And I'll explain men in a minute, but for women, when her feelings are hurt, every square inch of her body, from the tip of her head to the bottom of her toes, hurts. Every square inch. The layer of feelings is called hurting. Now, when the feelings are hurting, more often than not, this is a sign that says, do not touch her. Don't grab her arm. Don't hold her hand. Don't do any of this stuff. Instead, do something really, really important. And this is how she explained, the teacher that I learned from. She said, if you want to help a woman reset her feelings, and ladies, I don't know if this will work over the internet, but I'll show you the 4 steps. And it's more or less hitting, if you imagine on a computer, the little reset button, like if you went and boop, press the reset button, it starts the computer over. If a lady's or a woman's feelings are hurt, here's what you want to do. I'll give you the steps. There's a couple steps here. Number 1, don't touch them. Don't talk to them. And I'll tell you what not to say first. And ladies, in the comments, what's up, Steve? Nice to see you. In the comments, ladies, tell everyone, just so they can read this, if it hurts even more and actually pisses you off, if a guy says, hey, I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. I'm sorry you got upset over it. None of those things are the right things to say. And if anything, these things frustrate women even more from my experience and also studying and researching this. Anytime you try to blame it on something else, you try to say it's their problem. I was talking about the environment I grew up in, so I was like, hey, why are you choosing to be in an upset state? Like, choose a different state, focus on something else, and change your state. None of that stuff works. None of it works whatsoever. There's this very, very specific phrase that does work, though, and this phrase, if you want to write this one down, really simple, is don't touch them. Breathe, and say this: I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. It is not, I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. Syntax matters. It's, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Now, what happens next is sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. But I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. If it lands, if that plane lands, you'll hear them go, and it's the reset. It's that breath underneath, because it'll hit. Now, what's interesting, if this were to happen and there was a group of women anywhere nearby, and you were to stop, look her straight in the eyes, don't touch her, and say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Not only would she go, but you might also hear 3 or 4 other women around go, because it'll reset other women nearby as well. Just like right now, some of you, I don't know if you're out there and had your feelings hurt somewhere, but some of you possibly might have just gone, just from hearing that. Now, I'll tell you some tips. It has to be genuine. You have to take 100% responsibility and ownership of this. Now, a lot of times what men say is, but I didn't hurt her feelings. Why should I have to apologize? I mean, she's the one who did it. I mean, she said that and I said this, and just because she gets upset, why do I have to apologize? Well, here's the question. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Would you rather have a loving relationship, or would you rather just have a shitty one that falls apart over time? And this is what it comes down to. If you want a loving, happy, healthy, strong relationship, you have to be willing to take ownership of the emotions that are created between and around both of you. Does that mean you're responsible for how she feels forever, and if she's upset, that means it's your fault? It's not your fault. You're choosing to take responsibility for it, which is a very, very unique situation. And this element of you're taking responsibility, you're taking ownership. You're saying, hey, I'm choosing to take partial and full ownership of the emotions that you experience in your body. Now, I had this happen the other day because when I was studying this stuff like crazy when my wife and I first met 6 years ago, and I had spent 5 years studying this stuff. So I was a beast at this concept. This concept kicked me in the face about a week ago because my wife was upset, and for some reason I hadn't listened to this program in a while, and all of a sudden, somewhere inside of my nervous system, I was like, she knows how to change her state. She can kind of own her own emotions over there. And you know, we had a friend who went through a tough time in her relationship, and I overheard the concept and went, oh my God, I forgot something that's a game changer that I was so good at a few years ago, and I have been really good at the last few years. It's just recently, I had some life stuff, and my mom passed away and stuff like that, and it kind of just made me forget. And all of a sudden I remembered, and I went, oh my gosh, taking 100% responsibility, taking ownership of her emotions, regardless if I created the emotion or not. Give you another example. Let's say, my wife happened to go out to a meeting and something happened that really upset her, and she came home and she's upset, and I go, wow, she's upset. Now, I was not at the meeting. I did not cause the upset. I didn't cause or create any of this. But if I realize her feelings are hurt, the layer between her skin and her organs, they're hurt, she's in pain, I can do a couple things. Number one, I can sit down eye to eye, face to face, and say, listen, I know I didn't do it, but if it's okay, can I hold space for this little bit of healing right here? She goes, sure. And say, okay, I'm going to look her straight in the eye, and I'm going to say really simple, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Now, if the plane doesn't land, she'll go, no, you didn't. It wasn't you. It's not a big deal. No, come on, let's just move on. And then you got to say it again. You got to say, really, truly, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. And what happens is now, someone says, how do you hold space? So holding space, meaning imagine sitting down next to someone and imagine like a bubble. And imagine from your heart kind of creating a big luminescent bubble around them. And imagine with all of your energy, you're going to keep that bubble full with good space for them the entire time you're communicating with them. You're going to allow them to express into the bubble, and you're going to hold this space around them the whole time. And in that space you're holding for them, you can pour love, you can pour goodness, you can pour joy, you can pour anything you want into it, but allow the space to exist with them in the space that you're holding. And you want to intentionally in your mind imagine you're creating this space around them and holding the space the whole time. You're keeping that space, that bubble of space for them the whole time they're communicating. Now with this, what happens is there's a few more steps. So when you look them straight in the eye and say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, what's going to happen next if it catches, if it lands and it hits, they're going to go, and then what'll happen next is they're going to then almost throw up, or every little thing that's ever hurt their feelings is about to come up. So if you haven't done this before and you hit someone and they haven't done this in 3 years, you're going to hear everything that's hurt their feelings that you happen to be a part of. That one time when you said this, and the one time when you were late, and the one time when you were early, and the one time when I made dinner and you didn't say thank you, and the one time, and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times it's really easy for us to be like, hey, I didn't do that. Wait, oh my gosh, I thought we were over that. And get into it and realize it's nothing about that. You gotta say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. You get the, and then you get, blah, all the old hurts are just coming up. Blah, 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 blah. And you want to imagine holding an awesome Santa sack, one of those big red velvet bags, a real pretty one, and allowing all the stuff to just fall into it. Allow it to come in. Catch it for her. Be like, oh my gosh, yeah, and that. And you want to actively listen. Now, there's a difference between a level 1 listener basically is listening until you can insert what you want to say. A level 2 listener is listening to all the words they're saying. A level 3 listener is where you need to be here. You're listening to the 7% of words they're saying, but you're listening to the 93% of the tonality, the body language, the expression. You're listening to everything they're expressing, not just the words. And as you're listening to everything they're expressing, you're catching it in the bag. You're like, oh my gosh, keep sharing. What else? Oh, wow, that must have been frustrating. Oh, oh man, that must have hurt. Yeah, come on, share more. What else do you got? Oh my gosh. And they're like, I'm done. You're like, no, I think there's a little more. Come on. Everything? That's it? Really, truly, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Like, share with me. What else? And what'll happen is when you get done with all of it, something weird will happen. All of a sudden, it'll turn into like a little, if it was really, truly a deep feelings hurt, all of a sudden it'll turn into a cry. It'll start off as kind of a whimper, and it might go into a deep cry, like, like a real cry. And at that point, and that point only, they might lean into you, and then you could kind of snuggle them a little or hold them. And what'll happen is they'll cry it out, and then all of a sudden, when they're done with this whole process, they'll go, oh, don't you feel so much better? And it's like, oh. And really, truly, you just help them reset their entire emotional nervous system, which is the layer between their skin and their organs, the layer that exists between there. You just help them reset the entire nervous system. Now, I posted something like this a while ago, and one of those awesome guys who teaches guys how to get laid and pick up girls said, you're going to teach guys how to be a beta. And let me just differentiate real quick. If you're a guy looking to get laid, this is not for you. Go find all the other junk on the internet that'll teach you how to pick up people and date people, and you'll have usually 3-month-long relationships. And that's about all you'll do. If you're looking for a lasting, loving, amazing, resilient relationship that you have to work at, it's not like you find the one and it's beautiful forever. Like, you got to put in the work. But if you're looking for a relationship and a partner that you're willing to do the work with, this is one element, one tool you can use together to help take ownership of the emotions and actually continuously have a beautiful, lasting relationship. But it takes effort and it takes time, and there's other pieces too, but this is one piece that's extremely useful, that really does make a difference, and it's taking ownership. So anytime, from the guy's perspective, any time, and let me elevate this just because I realize there's people with different preferences that watch these. So people with lots of preferences. From the masculine perspective. Now, I'm gonna take the gender away and say men or women here. I'm gonna throw from the masculine perspective. So if you are the masculine in the relationship, meaning you want to go from point A to point B and be done with it. Versus if you're the feminine, you want to flow and feel and be alive and connected and express and be heard and understood. If you're the masculine, you want to be appreciated. If you're the feminine, you do want to be appreciated, but more important than being appreciated is being seen and being understood, where people are listening to level 3 with you, and they're hearing not only what you're saying, but they're feeling what you're feeling. There's an example of this where it was really funny. A friend of mine, his wife came out of she was trying to pick which shoes to wear, and she says, yeah, should the yellow ones or the blue ones? And he was like, oh crap, women don't like indecisive men. So he's like, the yellow ones. And then she came out of the closet wearing the blue ones, and he goes, why did you ask me if you were just going to do what you wanted to do anyways? And what was funny is he learned something in this interaction. What he learned was, really simple, what he learned was the concept of what she's really asking is not what color you like. She's saying, based on how I feel, what color best represents how I feel? And that's a big question. That means this whole holding space concept where you feel the bubble of energy and you kind of feel their energy in it. Imagine when the person says, which ones? Imagine you create a bubble around them and you put your hands on the outside of the bubble, and you kind of feel the energy of the bubble and go, based on that energy, I would say the yellow ones. Because it's really an expression of, based on how I feel, which ones represent my feelings at the biggest level. Holy Moses, we're back. This is another element that's really important of ownership of emotion, is when people are asking for things, when the feminine is asking, what it's really saying is, can you tap into how I'm feeling and help me figure out which one best expresses the emotions I'm feeling right now? The masculine does not do that. The masculine looks for things that are efficient, things that get the job done, things that get you from point A to point B. There's a funny example of how, the masculine goes shopping. They walk in, they go to left, they go up, they go left, they go up, they buy the jeans, they don't even try them on, they come down, and they do the most efficient path right back out the front door. And then there's a picture of how the feminine goes shopping, and it's like it comes in and it was going this way, and then it kind of saw something, and then it felt something over here, and then it did this for a while, then it came over here like this, and then it went over here, and then it tried 4 things on, and then it went this way, then it came back this way, and then eventually 7.5 hours later, it kind of almost left and then forgot something way up here, and then got in a conversation and did something else, and then eventually at 10 at night came home. That's just the element of the masculine or feminine. This is not gender-based, not men or women. It's masculine or feminine. And so we went from, male and female to masculine or feminine, which can be either way. There's no, one person doesn't have to be one or the other in this situation. And then let's elevate one more time. And if we went from male or female, masculine, feminine, we went up to human. Human. As a human, one of the most beautiful things you can do is be aware of how people are feeling around you. Now, every human, race, gender, ethnicity, background, taking time to just take a breath, and try this. Take a breath. And what I want you to do, take your hands, rub them together like this. Rub, 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 rub. Faster, 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 faster. Now hold them apart, close your eyes, and as they come together, don't let them touch, but bring them close together and see if you can feel the energy that exists between your two hands. And you might even rotate them around and feel the energy between the two hands. Just feel the energy you created. There's a natural amount of friction and energy you just created, and see if you can feel the energy that exists between your hands after moving them that fast together and creating all that friction. Now, you have to be really sensitive and acutely aware of the energy that exists there, but feel the energy. And one thing you can do is you can practice this concept with a friend where you both rub your hands together. Rub, 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 rub. And then take a friend and both put your hands up against. Don't let them touch, but bring them about this far. And just feel the energy between each other. And what happens is over time, you'll start to become aware or sensitive to the energy in which other humans around you are feeling. And one thing that's really beautiful, and this is just kind of raising your awareness, is you start to become aware of the energetic feelings and emotions of the people around you. And what's a beautiful, beautiful gift to give any human being around you is the ability to sit with them and just experience their emotions, experience them, experience how they're feeling. What's wild is, if you want to do an experiment that'll just blow your mind, if you sit with someone, meaning sit with them face to face, and put on a timer for 5 minutes, and for 5 minutes do everything they do. So if they raise their hand, you raise their hand. If they smile, you smile. If they laugh, ha 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 ha, you laugh, ha 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 ha. If they wiggle, you wiggle. For 5 minutes, do everything they do together. And then at the end of 5 minutes, just sit in silence for the next 3 minutes and feel their energy. Feel how they feel. Sometimes, not always, sometimes the other person who is feeling how you're feeling the whole time can almost feel the thought with a little bit of accuracy, almost feel the thought you were feeling. But if you practice this every now and then, what happens is over time, you start to realize you can not only do it with a person you just sat down with this to practice it with, or the person you're doing the hand stuff with, or this with yourself, but you realize you can do this with every person you cross paths with throughout the world. And this is one of the greatest gifts we can give each other as humans, is becoming aware of how the people around us are really feeling. And what's wild is as you can start to feel their feelings, you can speak truth to their feelings. You can start to experience what they're experiencing. And one of the things that's probably one of the most valuable tools I have in my tool chest of being a human is the ability to practice this with people. And I practice this when I'm speaking to people. I'm feeling what people are feeling around me in the audience. I practice this when I'm on calls with my coaching clients. I'm listening and feeling into how they're feeling when we're talking together, and I'm listening for things they're saying and not saying and feeling them. And really, this is a really important area to practice in your intimate relationship, to practice feeling what they're feeling, to take ownership of what they're feeling, and to pour into them all the things that you hope and wish and desire that they do feel. It's not trying to change how they're feeling. It's pouring all your love into them, and pouring all of your joy into them, and pouring all your strength and courage into them, and breathing that energy into the bubble that you hold around them. You're holding space for them and allowing them to experience all that goodness from you each and every day. But that requires ownership. It requires, taking responsibility. It requires, if you want the male or female thing, you can use that 4-step system. If you want the masculine and feminine, you can choose the dance in the two energies. Or if you want the human form, you can realize they're another human, and you have the ability to really hold space and feel how they feel. And this can be for intimate relationship especially, but this can be for every human you cross paths with. So the concept here, day number 92, is taking ownership of emotions, taking ownership and becoming responsible, becoming able to find the ability to connect with the emotions of everyone around you, and holding space and really learning how to tap into how people are feeling around you, becoming sensitive to it or aware of it. And it's amazing what the gift this is. And most people, we're so used to level 1 listening, where people listen long enough to try to insert what they want to say, or level 2 listening, where they're listening but only hearing the words you're saying and they're not really feeling. That it's very, very rare that when you cross paths with someone who elevates and operates at a level 3 listener and communicator, it's incredible to talk with them and have fun. Do you always feel the person you speak with, Jarek? Not always. Some people are very guarded and don't express a whole ton. But oftentimes, especially when I'm at events speaking, I can, if someone's open and they're expressing their feelings, like if their antenna is turned on and they're expressing their feelings, I can usually feel them really deeply, really quickly. Thinking about ways I can use the ideas to improve my work relationships. Yeah, hopefully it helps. I'm going to go have dinner with my wife. Hope you guys have an amazing evening, afternoon, or morning. Just a heads up, for our Performance Coach University program, we're going to have some awesome webinars coming up. And let me grab some topics. We have 10 reasons why a coaching business is the best business in the world. I thought that was kind of a fun one. Let's see, 10 ways to generate more referrals in your business. So that's not just for coaching. 10 benefits of becoming a coach, and then 10 ways to grow your business overall. So a couple of these are for businesses overall, and some of these are specifically for the coaching business. But if you're interested in these kind of things, we'll have some links coming up. So feel free to join us for those webinars. I'm going to teach them live the first time and record them, and then we'll have the recordings up for people to go through it whatever time they want. But anyways, I hope this is helpful today. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please tag them in this or share this video with them. And I will see you guys tomorrow for day number 93 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Talk soon.